In this part of the series, you can learn to allow your users to change their profile photo. This lesson will help you get comfortable with the PHP and MySQL side of creating image upload applications and offer you a simple front-end interface. Before we dabble in the code, let me show you the way it works, and if you like it, you can use it on your website as a temporary way to achieve this goal until you enhance it or change it to your liking. And I've had a few people ask me how I got this output on the index page, just this temporary output that I'm showing on the index page, and I'll also show you that code. But on to the avatar code. So if the user goes to their profile and they're logged in, when they hover their mouse over their profile picture, they're going to see a little button pop up that says Toggle Avatar Form, and when they click that, the avatar form is going to appear with a little opacity set to it over their profile picture, and they can toggle that on and off. So if they want to change their avatar, all they have to do is choose a file. So you can see I chose onepirate.jpg from my computer, and I'm going to upload it now. You see? And it changed my picture. And I can go ahead and change it again if I want, as many times as I want. And that picture does not get saved or stored in any sort of gallery within the system. But later on I'll show you guys how to produce galleries for your system. So that's going to be pretty much the meat of this lesson, is showing you how to allow your users to change their profile photograph or their avatar for their main profile picture. And it will always be the newest version of that picture that people see. You won't have any browser cache issues. For instance, if somebody goes to your friend's profile and they see a certain picture, it's always going to have a new name when they upload and change their avatar. And we save that in the MySQL database. And that serves as a way to cache bust that picture. Every time they upload, the picture gets a new name, so that way it will never show the old picture that might be cached in the user's browser software or their friend's browser software. Now, even though what you just witnessed appeared to be very seamless without page refresh, it's not Ajax that's used to post this image. And there's probably about 1 million examples, different types and different flavors, for using Ajax to upload photos and upload files to the server. You don't have to do it in the traditional way that I was doing it here. You can use any approach that you want to upload images to your server. I'm just going to show you this basic method that you see in place on the site right now. You can use any framework you want. Some frameworks use iframes and Flash for backwards compatibility with older browser software. And there's also a lot of new Ajax functionality. It's called XML HTTP Request 2. And basically it's just Ajax Level 2, which added some new methods and event handling. So it's now possible with HTML5 and JavaScript alone to upload images to the server using Ajax without too many hacks and workarounds. But for backward compatibility, you'd want to use some older examples and older code. You don't have to use a framework for it. You can create the code from scratch, but you'd have to set your content type up just right and the boundaries for posting in multi-part form data to Ajax or through Ajax. So posting multi-part form data through Ajax means that you have to change your content types in the whole way that the header request is created to be a cross-browser and backward compatible way to use Ajax to upload images to your server, or any files, video files or whatever. And I'm going to do a standalone series on Ajax that'll take you guys way in depth about all the new features of XML HTTP Request Level 2. Okay, and now before we show that code, I'm going to show you the code that renders what's here temporarily on my home page, because a few people have asked to see that code. So here's my index.php page, and you can see the first line. I'm including my check login status.php script. And then the first SQL syntax is select username avatar from the users table where avatar is not null. And is not null means if it is not empty. So if their avatar field is not empty, that means they have uploaded an avatar image to their profile and their activated field is equal to 1. Then I order them by random limit 32. That's how I get 32 random people to show up on the home page, only if they're activated and only if their avatar is not empty. Their avatar field is not empty, because a lot of people won't bother to upload an avatar. Maybe you don't want to show those kind of people because they're not active on your site or whatever. So that's good query logic to get the result you want in that case. Then you simply run that query, then you initialize your user list variable, because the user list variable is where all of the users will get appended to. So within this while loop, all of those people come pouring out, and their specific variables come out one at a time. So you can grab their username, their avatar, and set up their profile picture link, which is simply a link to, or the path to, the user folder. And in the user folder, you'll have a folder with their name, and in that folder is going to be stored the JPEG, GIF, or PNG, whatever kind of file they uploaded as their profile picture. And since you know that each of these people coming out of this loop definitely have an avatar that they uploaded to the site already, then you don't have to do any condition logic to show the default avatar for your site. And then you just pack them all into the user list. You put a link around them so people can click and go to their profile. And then within that link you have an image tag which shows their picture. And you just put their profile pic path variable right there. See? Profile pic is the path to their image. And you simply put that in the source attribute of your image tag. And then you can put the alt tag of their username or whatever you want there. And you can see the style that I have in place for each of the images. And you can put that in your CSS down here in your head tag and remove it here. But I just threw it in line because this is all temporary stuff anyway. So that's how I get this randomized list. You see, every time I refresh, the list randomizes. So that's how I get a randomized list of 32 people, only the people that have uploaded their avatars. You can see on my profile there's still a lot of people that are using the default avatar. They have not uploaded their profile picture yet. Now, to get this count is very simple. The total users within your system, you can use this kind of syntax. Select count ID from users where activated equals 1, and there's no limit set on that. Then you run that query, gather the row out by using MySQL fetch row on that query, and you really didn't even select a field. What you're doing here is you're counting the ID field to see how many there are. So you'll only get one array item, and you can access that array item in the row by saying 0 index on that row variable. Pack that into a variable called user count, and then you just echo that down on the page wherever you want. See, I have it echoing here. And my user list echoes here. Okay, so this is the files that you're going to be getting within this lesson. It's going to live, all the source code is going to live under the video at developphp.com. I'm going to give you the whole user.php script over again because I added some variables to initialize here, like avatar form. And in that condition where we were checking to see if the viewer is the account owner, I put some more logic. So we have that profile pick button, and that's the button that appears when the user hovers their mouse over their avatar. And avatar form variable, that gets this little form put into it, and that's the form that you saw that appeared over their avatar that allowed them to change their avatar or their photograph. And this only appears on the profile if the user happens to be the account owner. Then there's also CSS that's been added for the div that is the profile pick box, and the profile pick box form that's within it, and the profile pick box link, that little green button. So this is how you style that little green button. This is how you style your form, and this is how you're styling your profile pick box, and then the image that's within it. Now, if you guys really want to see an in-depth tutorial about this code, I just made a video on that. It's the CSS video I put out right before this one. See, right here on my channel, this CSS tutorial, CSS Hover Options, and this video discusses the inner workings of that functionality. So if I'm at my profile, you see when I hover, I get the little button. That's what that tutorial is all about. So you can understand the CSS a little bit better if you go and you watch that tutorial if you feel like it. Now, I also had to add one function into main.js. So you can see this friend to toggle function that was here for your friending mechanism, your block toggle function. Here, let me just collapse those because we covered those in earlier lessons, so I don't want that getting in your way. And actually, this should not be here at all. And all I did was I changed this function name to friend to toggle. So you can see everywhere it's referenced, it's friend to toggle now. And you don't even have to do that. That could remain friend toggle. Here, let me just make it friend toggle again. And then up in the HTML, where that button is created, where is that? Right here. Friend to toggle I was just testing with things, so I renamed that function temporarily. But I'm going to name it back to friend toggle now. So it's friend toggle there, there, and these two places up here where it needs to be. So everything is honky-dory. Okay, so the important part is really understanding this form that's going to appear. And you can see its posting, or its action, is PHP parsers folder photosystem.php. I'm going to give you a file called photosystem.php, and it'll be under the video, and you can copy all of the code. But you want to make sure you put it into your PHP parsers folder, along with your block system and your friend system parsers. Okay, so let me show you photosystem really quick. Now this will handle uploading the picture to your server, and even if you use Ajax for posting the pic to the server, you'll still need this sort of PHP in place to handle the upload. So the first thing you do in that file is you include the check login status.php, and you're checking here to see if the user is okay and the log username actually has a value. And if it doesn't, then you exit. So here's the full extent of the code here. It's not that much, and here is what happens. We say if is set the files array avatar name and the files array avatar temp name. You can see in our form the file field is named avatar. So you can scoop up the files array with the name of avatar, and you have access to the avatar name. The temp name is where it's stored in your PHP temp folder on your server before it actually gets moved using the move uploaded file function in PHP. You also have access to the file type, the file size, and the error code. And actually, if you want to see all of this code really in depth, explained very in depth, I have a PHP series on PHP image processing for uploading images to the server, resizing them, cropping them, putting watermarks on them, and all kind of tutorials along those lines at developphp.com. In the PHP and MySQL video section is where you can find that PHP image processing series. So if you really want to go in depth about PHP image processing, you can do so there. This next line gets the file extension, or basically it explodes the file name into an array, and then you can grab the last element off of that array. The end function will grab the last element off of an array. And you know that the last element in that array, since you're exploding that string by the dot, the last element will be the file's extension. So you can put that in a variable called file extension. Then we list the width and height by using the getImageSize function on the file at its temp location in your PHP temp folder. That's how you can get the width and height of the image that the person is trying to upload. And you can say if the width is less than 10 or the height is less than 10, that means the image has no dimensions, or is a weird, crazy, thin shape that you don't want. So you can just header them to the message.php page with an error saying that image has no dimensions. And then you exit the script. If the image does have dimensions, then you're going to set up a database file name for that image using the rand function, which will just basically give you a random set of numbers. So you'll have, I think it's 12, you'll have a 12-digit random number created, and it'll say those 12 digits .jpeg or .gif or .png, whatever file type the user is putting up. So that's what you store the name as in their database field for their avatar. And you're also going to name the file that on the server. That way in your database you just have a string that refers to that name of that file, and then on your server in the folder system is where you actually store the media, and it'll have the same name on file in your folder as it is referenced in your database. And that's how you can store strings for image names in your database but not have to store any binary data in your database itself. You can store all that binary data in media files in your folder system on your website, not directly in your database. So then you run a condition that says if the file size is greater than 1 megabyte, and you can change that to whatever you want. If the file size is greater than 1 megabyte, then you give them an error message saying your file was larger than 1 megabyte. Exit script. Else, if the file is not GIF, JPEG, or PNG type, then you're going to give them an error message of your image file was not JPEG, GIF, or PNG type. Else, if the file error message from the file upload here, file error message, is equal to 1, that means some error occurred with the file, Then you give them a message of error, an unknown error occurred, and you exit the script. Then what you're going to do is pretty much delete. This little bit of code here deletes their current avatar picture out of their folder. So you select avatar field, just the string of their picture, from the users table where username equals this logged in user limit 1. Then you run that query. Then you get the fetched row from that query into a variable called row, and then you can simply access the avatar by saying row index 1, and that'll give you the first item in that row. And there's only one item in that row because you're only selecting one field. Select avatar from users, you see? So you're only going to have one item anyway, which is the avatar. Then you say if the avatar for that user is not equal to nothing, that means they have already uploaded an avatar and they actually have a file sitting in their folder for their avatar. Then you set up a link to that file, and then you say if that file exists, unlink it. And basically unlink is deleting it out of their folder. Then we're going to use the move uploaded file function to actually upload their file to the destination directory we want it to live, because temporarily it lives in the PHP temp folder. And we pack the move uploaded file function into a variable called move result, so that way we can evaluate it. So basically you're taking the file from its PHP temp location. You see this file temp loc variable is created right here, and that is the file's avatar temp name. The temp name refers to the file where it lives in your PHP temporary directory, your temporary uploads directory, which is not a folder that you ever created. It's just at play on your server, but it's not a file that you have to go and create. Your PHP temp folder is just there and it works. And that's where things are temporarily stored until you move them upon upload, and that temporary folder is flushed frequently. And that's also something you don't have to do. Your server does it automatically. So I just wanted to explain that is your first parameter. So you take it from its temp location and you put it where you want it to live. That's the path and the file name of where you want it to live. Then you say if the move result is not equal to true, that means some kind of problem happened with the move uploaded file function. You can error message to them file upload failed and exit script. So if the move uploaded file function happened correctly, this code would get bypassed and skipped over. Then you include once from your PHP includes folder the new file that I'm going to give you today called imageresize.php. Now imageresize.php is a file that you can include into all of your upload processing scripts if you ever want to resize an image, because some people might upload really giant pictures from their computer to your website system, and you don't want to just upload that giant picture. It might be a megabyte. What you do is resize it and get it down to 20 kilobytes, something really small. So instead of 2000 by 2000 pixels, it'll be 200 by 200, and it'll be an actually reduced, remade file using the original file that they upload. You can just ditch their original file. It actually gets overwritten. So they upload that whatever big giant file they want to upload. But what your system does is it resizes that original picture and then replaces it. So after the image is resized, and I'm going to show you that script in a second. Here it is right here, imageresize.php, and you're going to be getting this code too. And that needs to live in your PHP includes folder, okay? Don't forget, imageresize.php needs to live in your PHP includes folder. And then these next variables are the variables that you need to send to that image resizing script. And you can see here is where the image resize function gets called, that's living within imageresize.php. So you're calling that function, you're sending it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parameters. Imageresize.php is scooping up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parameters. Processes things, and basically what this script does is it takes the user's original upload, maybe a big giant file that they uploaded, and it replaces it with a smaller copy. And like I said, at Develop PHP, there's this, you can learn how to create this image resize function. There's the crop function, watermarking function, and all kind of things that you can include into your system as external modules. Alrighty, so that takes care of all of the PHP. Now in main.js, to toggle that form here, let's see, let me click toggle avatar form. You see that? that toggle functionality is in main.js. So in main.js, you have to update that with this new function called toggle element. Now within your site, anywhere on your site, on any page, if you ever want an element to appear and disappear upon clickage or hover or whatever you want, you can make things disappear and appear, give users that control by using that function. And all you have to do is send whatever element that you want to make appear and disappear through this toggle element function. So that's all the code you're going to be getting. You'll be getting user.php, the new updated version of that. You'll also get photosystem.php, which needs to live in your PHP parsers folder. You'll get imageresize.php, which needs to live in your PHP includes folder. And you'll also get the updated main.js, which used to have only this one little function in it, but now we have this function as well. Alright, so now you see the inner workings of how this works here. Let me try this again and upload. It's beautiful. Upload. Works great. Okay. And you can see you'll have all the updated code from the home page too. I'm not going to give you that code. I just basically let you peek in my index file at the beginning of this video. I'm not going to have that code for copy paste.